In today's episode, we get the motor out of our Honda Element SC and we start disassembling all the parts. So I'm going to be reusing the engine harness, I'm going to be reusing most of the accessories, the water coolant housing, all the normal stuff, because I don't know if there's much difference between the TSX and the Honda Element. So you see here we're just cleaning up the water coolant housing and we'll put some Honda Bond on it as well. I do have some good news. We did buy ourselves an 08 Honda Element all-wheel drive manual, so we are going to swap this to manual. In typical B is for Boost fashion, Jeff had a 2013 clutch off his supercharged SI, which was a manual like OEM clutch. We're going to use that on our swap. Just saves me a little dollars. So it only has like 30,000 kilometers, so like 15,000 miles roughly. So we're going to put that on for our swap. And then when it comes time, we will buy ourselves a new clutch. This gets it in right away. I know it's good. It looks dirty. It's been sitting for about 4 years in the basement of his house. So hopefully this works.
Okay guys, welcome back. In our last video, we were working on our Honda Element SC, which I was swapping to all-wheel drive automatic just because I had a 2010 that you did see on the channel that we junked, and it was auto. Now, if you realize, I did have all the manual gear from an 05, but 06 and 04, I believe, is one generation of wiring. 07 to 11 is another generation, so I can't use any of the stuff that I have, i.e. like the dash harness. The pedal should be the same, the shifter would be the same, engine harness would be different, I would assume, how it connects. I honestly don't know. I never really looked into it. So I was swapping it to an automatic, but then on Marketplace, this came up. That's why when you were watching the last video, you seen us going on about an automatic. We were doing it, then all of a sudden, at the end of the video, we were putting a clutch on the motor because I ended up picking up an 08 Honda Element manual all-wheel drive for $1,200. Now, this does look fairly clean, but don't let that kid you. There is a little bit of rust at the bottom of the door, right about there. So that's rotten. The inner rockers are rotten. This is how I bought it, guys. It's filthy. Surprisingly, the seat's not ripped. For a Honda Element, that is actually very surprising. But you see, new cluster, new style of seats, manual all-wheel drive. So the story goes, Buddy hit a deer, did a little bit of damage, the rad broke, he drove it, it overheated, head gasket went, he put a rad in it thinking it was just a rad, and it turned out it needed a head gasket. Buddy was a little weird, he wanted $1,000 for it. I know, I said I paid $1,200, because I messaged him for like a week straight, like every other day. He'd read the message, wouldn't reply, so I got to the point where I knew I wanted to swap mine to manual. I knew I needed a dash harness because I wanted OEM. I know I need an engine harness. I know I need an ECU. I already have like 4 trannies. I already have all-wheel drive gear, drive shaft, diffs, axles. None of that mattered to me, but I wanted to have the OEM harness. So in today's video, we are going to drop the motor, transmission, and K-frame as one. We're going to pull the shifter assembly out. We're going to pull the center console. We're going to pull the steering column out because I'm probably going to use this steering column where it's manual, so it shouldn't have an auto lock on it. Mind you, it's pretty easy to get around that, but I think I might use the keys, ignition, and door locks out of this into my SC so everything matches. We're going to pull the whole dash out because I want the dash harness out of this to put into mine so everything is plug and play. My cruise control will work. Everything would still be the same, even knowing I'm switching it from auto to a manual. So you will see there is a little damage there on the grill. I'm assuming that's how the rod got broken. Little crack there, a little bit of deer hair there. So that's how you know it hit a deer. And it has a brand new rad and fan assembly. So that's kind of nice. It does have an OEM converter, which I'll probably end up selling. So I'm not going to video a lot of this. I will show you the dash harness, obviously, the pedals, the shifter cables, dropping the motor. You just seen that in the last video of me doing it to the other car. So there's no point in me showing you that twice. I'm going to do the same thing, except for this one, I don't need to be as forgiving, careful. The last one, I literally took every vacuum hose off this car. This car, I can literally just cut everything because I'm not using none of it. I don't need any of it. I just want to drop it so I can keep the K-frame for a spare, and then I can keep the all-wheel drive tranny, end up selling that to somebody. I don't need 5 of them kicking around. And yeah, so I'm going to start disassembling this, guys, and we're going to have some fun with this.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo,
yeah.
no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff.
And like that, motor is now dropped out of the Honda Element. I did leave everything attached. And when I mean everything is I even left the slave and the, see, all of it, lines, everything. I just disconnected it from the frame rail. That way I can reuse that stuff. I'll probably make a new line for the master cylinder or slave cylinder, just because, you know, I can when it's out. So now the big part, or the hard part, will be I need to lift this car up high enough to get this out. Realistically, I could probably cut, and pull it out, and I still might, or my other option is going to be to back up the crane, lift the car up high enough to clear that, and then pull it out. So thankfully, I do have the Chev truck right here that I could literally just go and pull it forward. So now I need to do that. I'm going to need to get the axles out. This axle's new. Need to take the whole engine harness off. The one subframe mount bolt would not come out, so I ended up just welding it. You know, I got it that way. So it looks like this mount is going to be different. The front one, I don't know about the rear one. And then I can get this bolted into my car. Watch, if we come in here, there is mine sitting there waiting for the front mount to go on. Intake is the front part of a TSX. I'm going to have to change that because the injector sizes are different. And what a mess. So you've been seeing we've been disassembling the spare or the bad motor and putting everything on the TSX. Chris is here helping. We got the transmission on. We got the manual mounts on, so I was unsure if the auto K-frame mounts are the same, so just to play it safe, I did swap it to a manual half shaft, and I will be putting the manual axles in. We do have it sitting on the SC K-frame, because I do know the control arms are SC Pacific, probably the ball joints and a couple other small things. So we're going to get this up in place, so later on, I can finish putting the Element intake manifold on, because this is still the TSX. I can put on my new coolant pipe right down here. I did buy a new one just because it's all apart. I did buy a new thermostat. And yeah, so now the fun part is this is definitely a two-person job, is we're going to bring the car down on the hoist down to this. Now that's been moved more than once. So we're hoping that we can get this lined up.
Who I am.
So Chris is putting on the driver's
Chris
side.
did all the work, laying on his back on his own blanket to put the subframe bolts in. Yes, welcome to Booby is for Boost Productions, done yours truly by Chris Stroh.
So, like I was saying, Chris is setting up the driver's side motor mounts, and I'll show you what we did. So, like Chris was saying, he did climb underneath and line up the subframe. We had to bring the engine crane in, lift it from up here to give us a little more room to get it in spot. So I do have to order my mount right here. I almost just want to make one, to be honest, but we'll leave that for another day. Motor is going to be in spot with 3 of the 4 mounts, because obviously the transmission mount is different from auto to manual, the location of the mount itself. So yeah, once we're done, we can get this up in the air. Tomorrow, or the next video, we're going to put the intake manifold on, wire up this car with a 5-speed harness, and then start buttoning up all the wiring and all the vacuum lines. For example, this is different on a TSX. This intake valve we don't have on the Element. So it looks factory because it is factory. Not many people would know it's even a K24A2. Look at the room for turbo. Right there.
This is your deep one, isn't it?
What?
Your deep one, isn't it?
Yeah, you gotta put it on first. So we're gonna leave it at that. So far, we have taken the K24A2, we've put it into the car. We've swapped the manual transmission into this car. Next video, we're going to, like I said, we're gonna do the wiring, we're gonna do all the vacuum lines, and we're gonna start inside the interior for doing the dash, the pedals, slave cylinder, and all the fun stuff to make this working. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and make sure you check out the video where Chris probably will be working again.